All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to break down the Rams' schedule for 2024. I'll continue my schedule breakdowns. And we are moving right along. We are now in the NFC West. And yeah, the Rams, they made the playoffs last year, lost that tough game to the Lions in the first round. And, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, those guys played really well down the stretch. They were able to make it in as one of the wild card teams. And yeah, it was one of the best playoff games from last season. It was a 1 point difference between the two teams. You saw Matthew Stafford make his return to Detroit. And their season ended last year in Detroit, and their season is going to begin in Detroit as they will open up against the Lions on Sunday Night Football. And I did have the Rams upsetting the Lions in this game. Now, I think this game is going to be one of the best games from week one. I think you could see a game similar to the game that we saw in the playoffs. But maybe the Rams come in and they pull off the upset. Why not? I'll give them that. So I think the Rams will start off 1-0. Then they take on the Arizona Cardinals, and I talked about them briefly in the last segment. I think they're going to be a team that's, with Kyler Murray back in the fold, they're going to be more competitive. They're going to put up points. But I think the Rams, they kind of own the Cardinals. It's been like that for a while. Really has been like that since Sean McVay took over. And I think that's going to continue in this game. So I am going to take the Rams once again. Now, they take on the 49ers. And I did say I think the Rams could split with the 49ers this year. They were competitive in both. Well, they won the second game, but that was when they had all their backups in. Both sides had their backups in. I think the 49ers had some of their starters playing in the beginning, but yeah, it was Carson Wentz against Sam Darnold. That's what we got last year. But the first matchup, that matchup actually was competitive. I forget what the final score was. I want to say it was 30-21, but I want to fact check myself really quick just to make sure that I am correct. Because I remember they kicked it was 30-23 actually. Yeah, so it was a one-score game. I think, like I said, I think the Rams could split with the 49ers. So I'm going to say, I'll say they win this one. Well, then again, I was going to say because they're at home, but the 49ers take over SoFi Stadium. So they're going to win one. Regardless, I think they'll at least split with the 49ers. They'll win one of these games. Then they take on the Bears in Week 4 in Chicago. Could be an interesting game. I talked about the Bears also in the last segment. I love their offense. But, I think Matthew Stafford in that offense, I think they'll win that game. So right now I got the Rams starting off 4-0. Wow. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. But they might lose to the 49ers here. So you know what? I'll give them a loss with the 49ers. I'll say they win, get back on track against the Bears. So they're 3-1. I'll say they're 3-1 to start the year. Maybe they're 3, or maybe they lose to the Lions. Maybe they're 3-1, 2-2 at this point. And then they take on the Packers. This is an interesting game here. The Packers, I think, are going to be really good, and we'll talk about them later in the show. Yeah, this one's tough to pick. These two teams did meet last year in Lambeau, but there was no Matthew Stafford in this game, or in that game. Packers ended up winning that game, and that's kind of what got the Packers going, in my opinion, I think, was that game. Even though they didn't really play that great, but that was when they started to win some more games and get themselves back in the playoff race. But now this one's in SoFi, and the Packers fans are going to, the Packer fans are going to travel there. Yeah, I'm going to say the Packers win there. I'm going to say they win. So the Rams drop another game. Then they take on the Raiders. I think the Rams win that game. Now, the Rams are coming off of a bye, so I think the Rams win there. I think they beat the Vikings as well. Whether it's Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy, I think the Rams will win there. Seattle's interesting because the Rams did sweep the season series last year. They won in week 1 and then later in the season on I think the Seahawks, they were lining up to kick a field goal and they missed it. I forget, it was like a 50-something yarder. But in week 1, Puka Nacua had that monster game, and everyone's like, oh, wow, who is this guy? And the other thing, too, is because people just didn't really know what to expect from the Rams because they were coming off of a down year, a lot of injuries. And week 1, they played really well. So I think I'm actually going to say that the Rams are going to sweep the series again, the season series. I feel like the Rams, they've kind of owned Seattle as well since Sean McVay took over. I know Seattle has won matchups over the years with McVay, but I'm gonna say that the Rams, they sweep the Seahawks. Then you got the Dolphins coming in week 10. Got 2 high-powered offenses going at it. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, the running backs, Mostert, Achane. I know they drafted another one as well. Yeah, that one. I'm gonna say that one's tough. I'm gonna say the Dolphins win. I'm gonna give the Rams a loss here. I'm gonna say that the Rams lose that game. Then they take on the Patriots in Foxborough late in the season. I think the Rams should win that one. I think they're the better team. And then you got the Eagles coming in. They played each other last year. It was a close game. I think that this one's a Sunday night game as well. I'm going to say the Eagles win. I'm going to say the Eagles win again. Give the Rams another loss. Then they go to New Orleans, which could be, again, a hostile environment. Again, it doesn't have the same, the Superdome doesn't have the same juice that it used to, back when, Drew Brees was playing. But, again, you still got to respect the home field advantage for the Saints. The Rams beat them last year. I think the Rams beat them again. I think they beat them again. I think it'll be a competitive game, but I think the Rams win here. Then you got the Bills coming in. Yeah, then you got a tough stretch. You got the next 3 games are tough here because you got the Bills coming in, then you got to go to the 49ers, and then you're at the Jets, depending on if Aaron Rodgers is healthy. Bills coming in, and if you remember, that's what got us started with the 2022 season. You had the Bills going into LA, and Josh Allen played really well. Diggs had a good game, but there's no more Diggs. I'm going to say that the Rams lose this one here. I'm going to say they lose. And then I had them losing to the 49ers. I said they'd split with the Niners. The Jets game is interesting. And you got 2 old NFC North quarterbacks going at it here. I'm going to say, because the Jets are at home, I'm going to say the Jets win. Although I think it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game for both teams. I think the Jets win. And then they got the Cardinals and the Seahawks. I think they'll win those final 2 games. Because they do well against the Cardinals and the Seahawks. It's the 49ers that they have a problem with. So I got the Rams let's see. I had them losing to the 49ers once. I had them losing to the Packers. I have them losing to the Eagles, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Jets. Okay, so I think I got them around 10, 11 wins. I think that's fair, right? I think that's, because I had them winning against the Lions, splitting with the Niners. Yeah, 10, 11 wins. I think that's what I got them at. I think that's doable. Because I think, what did they have last year? I think they had 10 wins last year, right? I think they did. Or actually, no, they might have had 9. Hold on, we got to take a look again. They might have had 9 last year. Of course, it doesn't show me the records. It just shows me what place each team finished in. They finished 10-7 because when they won the last game. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so 10, 11 wins. I think that's doable for them. They could lose against the Lions. They did last year. I mean, the 49ers could sweep them, or maybe or they could beat the Bills. Because, the Bills, they did lose some pieces this offseason. I think I had the Dolphins winning against them, but they could beat the Dolphins. But yeah, I think 10-11 wins is doable for them. So, but let me know what you guys think. How many games do you think the Rams will win in 2024? So before we go to break, I just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link, that is GSMCPodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So when we come back from our second break of the show, we will talk about Darren Waller officially announcing his retirement from the NFL. So we'll talk about that when we come back from our second break of the show. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.